What if I told you that some of the safest countries on Earth are not necessarily the countries you think about first when you hear the word travel? No dramatic cities, no constant adrenaline, no dangerous-looking adventures. Instead, quiet streets, stable societies, efficient systems, and places where people can simply go about their daily lives without constantly worrying about what might happen next. But here's where this gets interesting. Is a country being safe enough to make it a great travel destination? Because those two things are not exactly the same. A country can have incredibly low levels of violence, and you can still get caught in extreme weather. You can still get lost. So today, we're counting down 10 of the safest and most peaceful countries in the world in 2026. The ranking is based primarily on the latest Global Peace Index, which measures 163 countries using 23 indicators across safety and security, ongoing conflict, and militarization. And yes, some of these countries are probably exactly what you expected. But one of the countries on this list has a reputation for being so safe that people sometimes forget something very important. Safe doesn't mean risk-free. So let's find out where these countries really stand and what travelers should actually know before visiting. Top Tier Travels presents the truth behind the world's 10 safest countries. Hey everyone, I'm Finn Lee, and today we're not chasing beauty, we're chasing the actual data. Let's count them down. Number 10. Japan. Imagine walking through one of the busiest cities on Earth. Millions of people around you, trains arriving almost perfectly on schedule, towering buildings, bright lights, and somehow, the entire environment still feels remarkably organized. Japan ranks 10th in the 2026 Global Peace Index with a score of 1.489. It climbed 3 places compared with the previous year. And for travelers, Japan offers something pretty special. You can explore the massive streets of Tokyo, then take a train into a completely different environment. Quiet neighborhoods, mountains, coastal towns, historic architecture, and landscapes that feel worlds away from the country's biggest cities. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Japan's safety doesn't mean you can switch your brain off. The country is exposed to natural hazards, including earthquakes and other weather-related events. And then there's another issue. Japan can be overwhelming. Not because it's unsafe, but because there is simply so much to experience. If you want a destination where personal safety, organization, culture, and variety come together, Japan is one of the strongest choices on this list. Extremely safe. Number 9. Finland. Now, let's head north. Far north. A country famous for forests, lakes, snowy landscapes, and some of the quietest-looking scenery imaginable. Finland. Finland ranks 9th in the 2026 Global Peace Index with a score of 1.478. It moved into the top 10 after rising 1 position. And Finland's appeal isn't just about being peaceful, it's about the feeling of space. You can move through cities, then suddenly find yourself surrounded by forests and lakes. In winter, the landscape transforms completely. And in the far north, you can experience some of the most dramatic Arctic scenery in Europe. But here's the part travelers sometimes underestimate: the environment. Winter in Finland isn't just a little cold. Conditions can become genuinely challenging. Short daylight hours, snow and ice, extremely low temperatures, and long distances between places. So if you're planning an Arctic adventure, the biggest thing to respect may not be crime. It may be nature. And that's actually a recurring theme on this list. The safer a country becomes, the more you sometimes notice the risks that aren't caused by people. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this one, hitting subscribe helps this channel keep making them. Number 8. Singapore. Now imagine a place where a futuristic skyline, world-class infrastructure, and a tiny geographical footprint all exist together. That's Singapore. Singapore ranks 8th in the 2026 Global Peace Index. It remains the highest-ranked country in Southeast Asia. For travelers, Singapore is almost ridiculously convenient. The city is compact. Transportation is highly developed. Singapore's safety comes with strict rules. Things that may seem minor or completely normal elsewhere can be treated differently here. The smart traveler thinks, this place is safe because systems and rules are taken seriously, so I'll respect them. And there is another interesting thing about Singapore. It's not a huge country. You aren't going there for endless road trips through remote wilderness. You're going for a highly developed city experience. Food, architecture, culture, shopping, and an incredibly efficient urban environment. One of the easiest destinations on this list for travelers who value order and convenience. Number 7. Portugal. Now let's move to the Atlantic coast. Beautiful coastline, historic streets, colorful neighborhoods, warm weather, and a slower pace. Portugal. Portugal ranks 7th in the 2026 Global Peace Index. You can explore Lisbon, visit Porto, head toward the Algarve, or venture into quieter parts of the country. But here's the truth nobody tells you. The biggest challenge in Portugal may not be safety. It may be popularity. Some of the country's most famous destinations have become extremely popular with international visitors. That means certain areas can feel crowded, especially during peak travel periods. And popular tourist areas can naturally attract the usual travel problems. Extremely strong choice for a relaxed European trip, especially if you explore beyond the busiest hotspots. Number 6. Austria. Now, we're heading into the heart of Europe. Picture grand architecture, mountain valleys, beautiful lakes, and villages surrounded by the Alps. This is Austria. Austria ranks 6th globally in the 2026 Global Peace Index. Vienna gives you one experience, Salzburg gives you another, and once you head into the countryside, Austria becomes a completely different kind of destination. But Austria teaches us an important lesson about the word safe. Because some of the country's most spectacular experiences involve mountains, trails can become difficult, conditions can deteriorate, and inexperienced travelers can underestimate the terrain. So if you're hiking, skiing, or heading into remote areas, don't confuse a country's excellent safety record with a guarantee that nature will cooperate. Extremely safe overall, with nature being the risk you should respect most. If you're finding this useful, this is a great moment to tap subscribe before we hit the top 5. Real quick, before we keep going, we're only halfway through this list, and the countries left are the ones people fight about the most. Switzerland's coming up, so is Iceland, and by the end, you'll understand exactly why safe and risk-free are two very different words. Number 5. Ireland. Now, let's head west. Rolling green landscapes, dramatic coastlines, historic towns, and some of the most recognizable countryside in Europe. Ireland ranks 5th in the 2026 Global Peace Index, and Ireland is one of those countries where the journey itself can become the attraction. You don't necessarily need to rush from one landmark to another. Sometimes, the road, the coastline, or a small town becomes the memory you remember most. But here's the truth. Ireland's weather can be unpredictable, and coastal landscapes can be beautiful, but they're also environments where visitors need to exercise common sense. Cliffs, strong winds, wet conditions, rough seas. Again, notice the pattern? The countries near the top of this list aren't places where nothing bad can happen. They're places where the overall level of peace and societal safety is exceptionally high. That's a very different claim. One of Europe's strongest choices for a peaceful, scenic trip. Number 4. Slovenia. Now, here's a country that doesn't always get the attention it deserves. Slovenia ranks 4th in the world on the 2026 Global Peace Index. Slovenia packs in a remarkable amount of scenery. Alpine landscapes, lakes, forests, historic towns, and a beautiful stretch of the Adriatic coast. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Slovenia can be overshadowed by its famous neighbors. Travelers often have Italy, Austria, Croatia already on their itinerary, and Slovenia can become the place they simply drive through. Which is a shame, because sometimes the less hyped destination becomes the better experience. And when safety is added to the equation, one of the most underrated safe destinations in Europe. Number 3. Switzerland. Now, we enter the top 3. And this one probably won't surprise you. Switzerland. Switzerland ranks 3rd globally in the 2026 Global Peace Index, and Switzerland almost feels like it was designed for travel. Mountains, lakes, beautiful cities, scenic trains, and landscapes that look almost unreal. But there's a catch. Switzerland can be expensive, very expensive, depending on your travel style. Hotels, transportation, food, activities. Safety and affordability are two completely different things. But if your priority is a highly organized environment, spectacular scenery, and a strong sense of security, Switzerland is difficult to beat. And perhaps that's the truth nobody tells you. The main danger here might be your travel budget. Exceptionally safe and spectacular, just prepare your wallet. Number 2. New Zealand. Now, we're traveling almost to the other side of the planet. A country of mountains, lakes, coastlines, forests, and landscapes that have appeared on some of the world's biggest movie screens. New Zealand. New Zealand ranks 2nd in the 2026 Global Peace Index. It is also the most peaceful country in the Asia-Pacific region. And this is where things get interesting. Because New Zealand doesn't feel like a country you simply visit. It feels like a country you explore. Road trips, hiking, national parks, lakes, coastlines, mountain scenery. But here's the truth. Nature is the star, and nature doesn't come with a safety guarantee. Outdoor activities require preparation, and some adventures involve risks that simply don't exist in a city. So if you're visiting New Zealand, don't let the country's incredible safety reputation make you careless. Respect the trails. Check the weather. One of the best combinations of safety, scenery, and adventure on the planet. We're one country away from the top spot. If you haven't already, now's the moment to hit subscribe. Number 1. Iceland. And now, the country that has dominated this conversation for years. A place where volcanoes, glaciers, waterfalls, black sand landscapes, and vast open spaces exist side by side. Iceland. In the 2026 Global Peace Index, Iceland ranks number 1 in the world. Iceland has held the number 1 position for 19 consecutive years. It also improved its safety and security score by 4% in the latest index. So, is Iceland actually as safe as people say? In terms of overall peacefulness, the data strongly supports that reputation. But here's the twist. Iceland may be one of the safest countries in the world, and still be one of the easiest places for an unprepared traveler to get into trouble with nature. Think about it. You can have an incredibly peaceful society, but you can't negotiate with a sudden weather change. You can't argue with rough seas. You can't control volcanic activity, and you definitely shouldn't underestimate remote terrain. That's the paradox of Iceland. The people, the society, and the country's overall peace. Indicators make it exceptionally safe. But the landscape? Powerful, unpredictable, and sometimes unforgiving. So, if you visit Iceland, don't just ask, is Iceland safe? Ask, am I prepared for Iceland? That's a much better question. The world's most peaceful country, but nature still deserves your full respect. The truth nobody tells you. So, what did we actually learn? Iceland, New Zealand, Switzerland, Slovenia, Ireland, Austria, Portugal, Singapore, Finland, Japan. 10 countries, all among the world's most peaceful according to the latest Global Peace Index. But here's the biggest lesson. Safety isn't a single thing. It's not just crime. It's not just whether you can walk down a street at night. It's much bigger than that. It's social stability. It's conflict. It's infrastructure. It's governance. It's the environment. It's transportation. It's emergency services. And sometimes, it's simply knowing when you shouldn't take a risk. And there's another thing I want you to remember. A ranking like this can tell you a lot, but it cannot predict your individual trip. A country ranked number 1 isn't a magical bubble where nothing can happen. And a country ranked lower doesn't automatically mean it's a place you should never visit. The smartest traveler doesn't ask, "Is this country 100% safe?" Because no country is. The smarter question is, what are the actual risks here, and how can I prepare for them? Because sometimes, the greatest travel experiences happen when you're willing to explore, without being reckless. So now, I want to know from you, which of these 10 countries would you feel safest visiting? And more importantly, which one would you choose for your next trip? Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to subscribe, because the world is full of places that look incredible on camera, but the real question is always what they're actually like when you get there. If mountains, lakes, and landscapes that look almost unreal are your thing, go check out the video I posted on Wonders of Switzerland. It actually shows you exactly what number 3 on this list looks like up close. Until next time, stay curious, travel smart, and keep exploring. I'm Finn Lee. See you out there.